Inside the castle, the guards try their best to get to the blonde bastard while the gold digger is worried because they're going to be executed for treason. Another voice begins talking to the former hero who takes the form of dark mist before possessing the well-endowed woman's body to use as her own. Damelina's class changes into a stripper mage and decides to thank her savior by transforming him into a creature powerful enough to destroy all the nobles that sealed her away. Then she rides him throughout the castle until they come upon a teleportation circle that the mage chooses to follow to see where it goes. The princess appears close to Flea's location, but all the mages tell her that they don't have enough strength to go any further as the collars of sacrifice are suddenly broken to signal the djinn's defeat. Then the queen enters the city and tries desperately to look for our MC but has no luck in finding him. Meanwhile, at the harem house, all the waifus sit to devour some of Fenrir's glorious cooking, where Haya decides that she can use magic to take care of all the chores, leaving the rest of the freeloaders depressed because they are now truly useless. A few hours later, we find the muscle mommy working the fields along with some help from the rabbit bear thing, while the archer feeds the kinky horses who are getting a taste of paradise, but she suddenly hears the muscle mommy screaming because a shiny rapidash is destroying her farm. It uses tackle on them, however the mage comes in clutch with protect and Balarasa decides to use sword dance on the unfortunate creature, but the archer realizes that it's the Ursuluna that has been freaking out the horsey, so she grabs a rope in order to bondage the wild animal and bring its rampage to an end. At the city, we see our newlyweds walking the streets together until Flea reaches the weapons shop so he can make money moves. A dark cloud suddenly overshadows the entire town as Damelina catches up with the princess while riding the tuckerfied former hero and begins destroying the city. She finds the monarch in the crowd surrounded by all her protectors, then jumps over to give the guards a magical blow job. But one soldier stands strong between the princess and certain demise as the sorcerer begins to relish in her vengeance. Fleo comes outside being very confused and meets up with Haya, who also sensed the presence of a great evil from far away. She explains that Damelina was once the most powerful dark magician in the world until the hero of her age managed to put an end to the tyranny. But although Damelina's body was destroyed, the soul still survived, so they used the magic sealed inside Haya's sword to trap the sorcerer in a prison realm for all eternity. Fleo gives the djinn permission to use her full strength to defeat his enemies, and she stops the princess from receiving an unwanted foot job. Damelina is confused that the djinn is saving the people that imprisoned them, but Haya reveals that she has sworn her life to a master and will do everything to protect this town that he has made his new home. The stripper mage unleashes Thunderbolt and the djinn uses Protect to block it, so Damelina decides to launch the former hero at them while using magic to attack from behind, but not even this has any effect on Haya. Seeing that she's vastly outclassed, the sorceress uses her most powerful incantation to buff the former hero until it's almost impossible for anyone to stop him. The princess is paralyzed by fear as she faces her impending doom, but the spell is suddenly broken to return everything to how it once was, as it's revealed that Fleo was the one to undo Damelina's magic because the fight was getting out of control, and Haya apologizes to her trainer for failing him. Then she proceeds to put the stripper mage into a Pokeball before giving Damelina the Gok treatment to seal the sorceress deep inside herself. The blonde bastard gets packed into a cart to be sent back to jail, while the princess finally meets with our MC and thanks him for all the good that he has done for her kingdom. She offers him the newly vacated position of hero so he can become the new guardian of her country, but of course Flea refuses because he already has the life that most people would kill for. Our party returns home, where the waifu knights reveal that they plan on buying some land around the house so they can get a bigger farm along with more space to raise the spirit horses that Balarasa will catch. Fleo offers to finance the charges for them, but they insist that their savings will be able to cover it until our MC does some quick maths to explain that they're all brokies who are nowhere close to escaping the Matrix. Then everybody comes to an understanding that Fleo will pay for the expenses and some of the profits will be paid back to him as rent. Our party begins Operation Help the Freeloaders, where we find out that the mage will soon be teaching students at Hogwarts, and Fleo gets the idea to use spells on the farm to get better goods. However, the muscle mommy is skeptical because she doesn't believe that there's a better way to farm than hard work, but the Dom mom relents and decides to test it on a small part of the fields to see what will happen. They all make steady progress toward their goals while our duo watches from the sidelines. Fleo presents his wife with a wedding ring which proves his undying love for her, and Fenris embraces her lover while overwhelmed by pure unadulterated happiness. Meanwhile, a spy of the Dark Lord's army stands outside of the town and admires our MC's barrier. At the Demon King's castle, we find the underclothes Catgirl reporting to Goal. She tells him that he should stop diverting resources to look for Fleo and restart the invasion on the human kingdom, since they can easily push through the purification spell to take the capital. But the Dark Lord reminds her that if our MC was to side against them in this war, he could do a squad wipe on their entire race, so any victory would be pointless until they can determine where Fleo stands. The legendary Catgirl admits that his army is beginning to lose faith in his rule. Then Goal goes over to give her a well-deserved head pat and reveals that he sees no point in winning this war if it means dooming his people, as a sneaky succubus eavesdrops on their conversation from the shadows. The demon reports all she heard to Goal's brother, and Uagard begins throwing a tantrum because he thinks his sibling is becoming weak, while the messenger takes all the abuse that he dishes out, though she does seem to enjoy it. Then the great demon decides that he will take the throne for himself to show the world how a true Dark Lord should act. At the royal capital, we find the former hero locked inside a dungeon with his ride or die in the cell next to him, but the captives soon manage to pull off a prison break and make their way back to the treasury to steal enough gold to live a life of luxury. They somehow manage to escape from the castle, but many guards are looking for them, so the fugitives employ the highly effective method of hiding in a bush. The former hero takes out a treasure chest he stole and finds a magical shovel inside as the guards quickly close in on their location. But when they arrive, our escape artists are already gone because the fugitives penetrated the ground to create a deep hole which now doubles as their new prison. Dumb and Dumber tries their best to climb out of the cavern, and the well-endowed woman finally reaches the top, but her assets begins working against her. The blonde bastard looks up into unfiltered paradise, then loses his grip for a moment to fall back to the bottom of the pit. A few hours later, we find some adventurers chasing after our escapees, and the bush hiding method comes in clutch once again. His ride or die cries because her food meter is empty, so the former hero gives her the last of their rations, then thanks her for sticking with him for all this time. But the curvy woman says that she is also a wanted criminal now, and when he broke them out of the dungeon, her heart started to only beat for him. They get ready to leave when a spider wanders over to them and spits sticky white fluid all over the duo as the kinky demon comes over to claim them as a sacrifice for her master. In the night, Balarasa has a dream that she is marrying the Dark One and has become queen over all demonkind. She begins freaking out while all her new subjects celebrate the union, but right as things are about to get good, she awakens from her fantasy screaming, which also rouses the other waifus trying to get some rest. The next day, Fenris makes some cupcakes with the royal knight where she tells our waifu about her nightmares. The demon gets excited because in their culture dreams represent a person's deepest desires, but Balarasa believes that Goal has no interest in starting a relationship with her. Then all the other waifus assemble and starts pointing out that the Dark Lord has been trying to hit since the first time he laid eyes on her. They begin questioning Fenris on how she fell in love with Fleo, and our waifu admits that she admired his kind nature but thought that it was also a weakness that she needed to protect him from. However, after spending time together, Fenris realized that they could both be kind together while still remaining strong. Fleo comes into the kitchen feeling embarrassed. Then our young couple takes a walk through the town where they see that even this far away from the war, many of the stores are closing down because both trade and supplies are at an all-time low. Our duo decides to get some dinner when their third wheel suddenly spawns outside of the void to tell them that thanks to their training they raised her rank at the Adventurers Guild, and offers to buy them lunch, which greatly disappoints Fenris. Haya suddenly joins the party to tell them that a powerful demon is on his way as Goal arrives in the town. They go inside the restaurant where the Dark Lord immediately begins rizzing up the waifu knight, and says that after studying this kingdom's culture to discover their weaknesses, he has come to like some of their creations. Balarasa accuses the Demon King of only caring about human ways to better learn how to conquer them, and Gol admits that it is true since although there is no way for their people to ever live in peace, he can't just allow the demon race to be slaughtered. Fleo is confused since him and Fenris never had an issue, so Haya explains that regular demons emit a poisonous aura that would smoke any humans who exist around them, and this makes coexistence impossible. Then Gol apologizes for ruining their dinner before bidding them farewell. Fleo walks home while realizing that although there are no workers, that doesn't get paid. This world suffers from an endless loop of war between humans and demons without the possibility of peace until one race is completely wiped out. RMC is overcome by hopelessness, so he grabs a hold of paradise, then embraces his wife until the big sad passes and all the joy returns to him once again. At the Queen's castle, the counselors have finished their investigation into Fleo and discover the very obvious fact that the man whom the kidnapping king banished to the forest of demons is also the adventurer who suddenly appeared out of nowhere to cleanse said forest and made it his new home for a while. The princess is horrified by this discovery but braces herself to atone for the sins of her idiotic father. The next day, as our party is enjoying a delicious meal made by the master chef, they suddenly hear a knock at the door and see that the princess has come to meet with them. They invite her inside, but the monarch asks for privacy to discuss something important with our MC, so everyone leaves the room except for the best girl. The princess stands up to make a formal apology on behalf of the entire kingdom for how they treated him in the past, but Fleo tells her that it was not needed since what her father did led to him finding the perfect life. The monarch reveals that this was not the only reason she came, before showing him a map that outlines all the positions of her army and the cities they defend, and begs Fleo to save the ones who has no protectors. Fenris rages at her for persisting and trying to turn our MC into their new hero after attempting to smoke him, but the princess explains that at the moment she is only the acting ruler and will be replaced once her father awakens unless she gains enough support by proving to the people that there is a better choice. Then she plans on forcing the king to step down and answer for his crimes. Fleo realizes that all the towns that she wishes him to guard are outside of the war zone, so he would not be taking any sides if he chose to defend them, and our MC tells the princess that he will think about it. In the night, the couple talks about what they'll do about the request, when Fleo says that he wants their children to grow up in a peaceful world with both humans and demons, even if it seems impossible. Then Fenris tells her husband that she will support him in anything he chooses to do. At the royal capital, the princess gets a report about a mysterious figure going around protecting towns from danger and giving all the credit to the acting monarch. We find a city being attacked by the demons who serves Usurper as our duo comes in clutch to save their lives. The army tries to break through the barrier while Fleo tells them that if they retreat no one will be harmed, but a Cyclops appears on the battlefield and notices that Fenris is fighting with a human. He says that her brother was a useless coward who never deserved his place by the Dark Lord's side, and our waifu decides that she's going to give him an ass beating that no one will soon forget. Fenris crosses the barrier and starts the fight by using her superior speed to land many attacks while remaining undamaged. Then she takes the high ground to use the Flying Thunder God to switch places with her opponent. The ogre throws his great club at our waifu, but Fenris swaps places again to let him take the blow before she plants some trees in his limbs to bring this fight to an end. Seeing that their general is outmatched, the army attempts to gangbang Fenris until Fleo steps in to give all of them a lesson in BDSM. RMC uses heal on the ogre before telling him to leave this town or he'll be forced to remove them permanently, and knowing that they stand no chance against this monster, the army decides to withdraw. The townsfolk come over to thank their saviors for the help, and they give all the credit to the princess, then leaves to go off to the next city, while Gol watches his action from above to make sure that all his people are safe, but he gets a report that his brother has now declared himself king, and the Dark Lord rushes off to confront the usurper. At the Demon Lord's castle, we find Usurper on the throne along with the former hero and his ride-or-die in a sacrificial circle that will boost the false king's power. The cat girl tries to convince the Infernal Four to turn against him, but the great demons refuses because they already swore to only be a witness for the duel between siblings and not interfere, since the ruler should always be the strongest among them. All the demons converge in the throne room where Usurper is now calling his office. The skimpy catgirl launches a surprise attack, but it has no effect on him and she is gifted a tummy tuck for her efforts. One of the claws floats up for a hidden assault, however that also failed as she goes into sleep mode while assuming the good girl position. The spy along with Ghoul arrives inside the castle and the Dark Lord asks what he's done to turn his most loyal officers against him. They explain that Ghoul abandoned them to go beg a human to join their side while withdrawing the army on the brink of victory instead of sacrificing a few soldiers to take the royal capital of the kingdom. The Dark Lord activates the king's ring immense power to take off the symbol of rulership and tosses it to his brother, while saying that if the demon race have truly lost faith in him after so much time, then he has no right to the throne. Usurper shouts that they must have a duel and immediately gets one-shot by the former king of all demonkind. Then all the generals begins begging him to stay, as the greatest Dark Lord to ever live leaves his crown behind. During the confusion, the blonde bastard and his ride-or-die makes a great escape from the castle after stealing all the jewels they can find so they can sell it and gain wealth beyond their wildest dreams. The next day, Ghoul and the cat waifu goes to Fleo's home to tell them what happened, then ask if they could live with him for a while, but RMC says that he has to make sure it's alright with the other residents first. Balarasa enters the room at the worst time possible and gets a panic attack from all the information that's being thrown at her. Everyone is gathered in the dining room and Ghoul tells them that he has been kicked out of the demon realm, so there's nowhere else to go, before promising that he will not bring harm to the household. All the harem agrees that they are okay with him staying since he has been there many times before, but Balarasa objects because Ghoul started an unprovoked invasion against her kingdom. Then Fenris along with the rabbit bear thing hits her with the cuteness overload to change the waifu knight's mind. A few hours later we find the muscle mommy working on her farm when Ghoul comes over to see if she needs help, but the dom mom says no, so he heads over to the archer who also wants to work on her project alone. Fleo takes the former demon lord to his storerooms and shows him all the items he made to sell to adventurers, while Eulimenes and Fenris watches from the outside where they notice that Ghoul is genuinely happy. In the night, they sit around a campfire and everyone is enjoying each other's company while eating delicious food, but the waifu knight who sits apart from them. Later on, while everyone is sleeping, we find Balarasa standing on the porch by herself when our dream team comes to join her because they're worried about how she has been acting. The waifu knight reveals that she has been bracing herself to leave because she contributes nothing special to the home, and although Balarasa accepts that Ghoul is no longer the Dark Lord, the royal knight can't imagine living peacefully with him because his army is responsible for many of her fellow soldiers becoming past tense. Fleo tells her that he doesn't expect any humans to be comfortable with staying around demons since the hatred they have towards each other is rooted deep in their history, but with time he hoped that everyone will get past it. Then Fenris points out that she was also a high-ranking demon who was planning on making them a DoorDash order for her brother when they first met, but over these months they have come to be close friends who has learned many things from each other. The next day Balarasa confronts two of the most powerful demons on the planet and tells them that she will be watching to make sure that they don't hurt anybody, and Ghoul goes over to the waifu knights to thank her for accepting them as roommates, before she goes off with the rabbit bear thing to hunt some monsters. At the Demon King's castle we see Usurper being very frustrated because no matter how hard they push, the army can't seem to bypass the humans' traps to gain any territories. Then the Dark Lord commands the kinky demon to gather all soldiers for one big attack as he leaves the throne room. The generals agrees that Ghoul would never make such simple mistakes and admits that the army is going to collapse at any moment, but the succubus returns from her flight to reveal that she has a plan to restore their morale. We go over to our favorite couple and finds that Fenris is overjoyed because she won tickets for a famous hot spring until they tell our waifu that it's a pass which requires 3 or more people to be valid. At the resort, everyone is excited to be on this vacation when the archer tells them that there is a pool here that is famous for fertility, and this catches Fenris' attention. They arrive at the entrance and are greeted by the workers who gives them a change of clothes, but our waifu sneaks over to the staff to get the location of the baby-making hot spring. Then the worker wishes Fenris luck on her quest. The waifu knights head inside to change, where they run into Usurper disguised in his human form along with the succubus, who has to remind the Dark Lord that they are here so the officers can relax and regain faith in him. All our friendly demons recognize the Dark Lord's party immediately, but Fenris advises them to remain hidden because if her plans are ruined, she will make sure they go to hell screaming for mercy and will receive none. Our family changes into the formal clothes, then decides that it's best to split up since everyone has their own goal that they wish to accomplish, and Haya tries to tag along with Fleo but is kindly persuaded to do otherwise. The djinn goes into her inner mind to meet with Damolinas and tells her that because she couldn't watch our MC add the filling to Fenris' donut, she will have to use her to explore human reproduction instead. The stripper mage begins freaking out and brings up the point that they're both women, but Haya shows her the black mamba, then reveals that magic can accomplish anything if the mind is willing to imagine it. However, Damolinas thankfully kicks the djinn out of her own consciousness, and Haya decides that she will need consent to make the experiment easier. We go over to the erotic section of the resort and finds the archer getting ready to go inside, but the djinn appears to join her. Then after a few moments of embarrassment, they both enter the kink museum together. Our young couple makes their way to the fertility baths but notices that it's separated by gender, where Fleo promises to plan a trip with just the two of them for their honeymoon in the future. However, Fenris is only thinking about the kitten petting session that she'll be receiving tonight. Meanwhile, at the cafe, we find the rest of our party hanging out, and Gol continues to rizz up Balarasa, which pisses off the overdressed cat girl. The demon goes to hang out with Muscle Mommy, leaving the two women to talk alone for the first time, and during their conversation, the waifu knight comes to the realization the Eliminas is also in love with Gol. Inside a room, Uagard and his officers feast like kings, but says awful things about the human food to deny that it's the best thing they've ever ate. The Dark Lord asks for entertainment, so the kinky demon does a TikTok dance, then gets appropriately disciplined for such atrocities. Two of the commanders starts doing a skit together, but it quickly turns into actual violence. At the same time, the unluckiest duo in existence enters the resort and decides to use the gem they stole to pay for a day of relaxation. However, the rock suddenly begins absorbing demonic energy as the two officers continue their brawl to see who is stronger. The crystal reaches its climax and travels deep inside the former hero to transform him into a kaiju. The tailed beast starts attacking the building relentlessly, forcing everyone inside to start evacuating, and right as the tower is about to collapse, Fleo comes in clutch to keep it in place, but reveals that he must keep this stance to maintain the spell, so Fenris goes to see what's happening. Our party sees the disturbance, and Eliminas notices that the creature is wearing a miasma-amplifying gem which normally boosts the power of a demon but would drive a human to insanity. The waifu knights rush off to help, but Gol tells them that they should remain here since Fleo can easily take care of this problem. However, Balarasa says she will not let our MC face all adversities by himself after he has done so much to help the world be a better place, and the women points out that although they are not strong, there are still things even weaklings can do to lend support in a disaster. Gol decides that they should help stop this monster, and Eliminas begins reaching her peak from being in the Riz Lord's aura. Then he teleports on the building with Fenris close behind. The generals notice their old master is back, and Uagard joins him on the roof to get his revenge. He jumps on the tail beast to use it as his weapon to defeat his brother, but no matter how hard the Dark Lord tries, Gol is still holding his own. Eliminas points out that the humans are powering the kaiju, so Fenris uses Flash Step to get in close to give the former hero the Gara treatment to free him from the crystal, while Gol comes in clutch by stopping them from painting the floor. The two siblings face each other with Usurper going on the offense while Gold chooses to dodge or deflect all his attacks until he casts full counter to reflect all the blows he blocked back on his brother. The Demon Lord goes all out and gains a decisive advantage over his sibling, which forces Gold to use the same technique that he made for their father to bring this battle to an end, as all of Usurper's power have now been sealed to make him no stronger than a human. Seeing an opportunity, all the staff use talismans to activate the magic hidden in the robes to restrain all the troublemakers in the area before making the demons blast off again. We find Fenris giving the blonde bastard a free facelift until Balarasa comes over to say that Fleo is at the entrance and is casting a spell to fully repair the building. The entire staff thanks our party for saving their establishment, then they all go to the hot springs to relax. Euliminus tries the bath for the first time and finds it very relaxing, though she notices that her rival has the body of a goddess. Haya and the archer watches them from afar, but Damalinas asks her to leave the female section since she can grow a third leg. However, the djinn tells her to leave for now, since later in the night they will be spending a lot of time together. The muscle mommy wonders why the two women were absent at the fight, and Haya spills the tea to reveal the archer as a freak in the sheets. Then they try to find out just how far her kinks go. Fleo and Gol sit in the hot spring together, where the demon reveals that he always thought that befriending RMC would be the first step in breaching the barrier between their races, but Fleo says that even with his godlike powers there are no spells to stop the hatred rooted deep within people's hearts, and the two men decide that over time they will build a bridge so both sides can meet in the middle. Hours later, while everyone is exploring Dreamland, the young couple meets with each other under the moonlight. Fenris jumps on her husband and their lips begin to embrace as Fleo lowers her to the floor so they can make sweet love to each other for the first time. The next day, everyone notices that our waifu is in a very good mood and realizes what must have happened. Then our party exits the resort to return home to live a life surrounded by the people who they cherish most in this world. At the royal capital, the Queen of the Kingdom is holding her coronation ceremony, but it's revealed that her father has gone into hiding instead of facing his crimes. Meanwhile, the former hero continues to run from the law and hopes to one day reclaim his lost title.
Like for a cat girl, subscribe for a waifu, and remember to stay swifty.